Welcome back to Sunday Vibes 1, and Patrick Van Straten is back in the building. Would you believe it? Look at this vivacious beard. He's been touching up elephants in Sri Lanka, fiddling with other things over there as well, haven't you, Pato? What did you get up
What
to?
are you saying?
Was it one
the
ball
other
at
side
a
of the
time,
world?
or was it both balls, both hands?
Let's just move
And
on.
just a
Let's
massive
move
cock, just pumping that one out. Anyway.
on. Is this a sponsored one?
Put those pythons to good use.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Thankfully, this isn't a sponsored video, so we can get away with it. But anyway, let's go to the first question. This one comes from Kyle Webster, and he says, after walking the league so far, will it be as easy for Manchester City next year? Christopher Hamill, are you going to take this question?
I suppose so.
Go on.
Now you put me on the spot. Well, Kyle, let me get my crystal ball out.
I know, Derek Okora shit.
I imagine now that they've adjusted to Pep Guardiola's ways, they'll maintain a very high standard. And it will probably be up to the rest of the league to raise theirs to make it more of a competition. Because alarmingly, I think the average age at City at the minute is around 26, which is a pretty good number to work with.
Yeah.
What components of their team need replacing? Maybe Fernandinho, maybe they need another centre-back because Vincent Kompany's not exactly going to he's not a reliable presence back there in terms of fitness. They've been linked with Fred from Shakhtar, haven't they? And I believe he's now in a tussle, Pep Guardiola, with Jose Mourinho over the sort of midfielder who's got a pretty unique skill set, actually, hasn't he? He's got a great defensive output, contributes to goals and assists every now and then as well. I think the fee for him's around 40 to 50 million. Benjamin Mendy to come back. I mean, they don't need to spend a lot, having spent 260 million in the last 2 seasons.
Would you sign another left back?
No, because Delph can play there, can't he? I mean, I think Delph's fine to be a utility player for another season.
And Danilo can play there,
At the very least, and Danilo. We were saying this about. We were talking about Danilo a couple of weeks back, saying, is he City quality? And my argument was, well, he can plug a number of gaps, and he's not necessarily starting 11 quality, but he's decent to have in and around your squad. So I actually think Liverpool, potentially, if they carry on this newfound consistency, they could be Man City's biggest challenges, especially if they keep hold of that front three and maybe add someone in midfield. You've repeatedly said you want Jorginho from Napoli at Liverpool, haven't you? So I think Liverpool need to find a consistency. And Manchester United, I don't know if Manchester United can perform at a higher level than they are now. I don't feel like they have a different gear. What do you make of that? Maybe the lack of competition.
Yeah, I actually agree. I think Liverpool are probably the best contenders that Man City have got, despite the fact United are second in the league. I think United, though, will outspend Liverpool this summer, which might maybe bring the parity up a little bit. If United go out and crunch 40 million on Toby Alderweireld and another central midfielder, I think then they do stand a good chance. I think they're definitely lacking at the back and in central midfield options when we play a 4-3-3, which I'm hoping Jose is going to do going forward after the fantastic result at the Etihad. But I think Liverpool are the outstanding candidates because of the quality of their front line. My one worry is that they've been very lucky with injury this season in terms of that front three. Haven't really had a major injury. I know Sadio Mane picked one up earlier in the season.
Unlucky with Lalana, so I guess.
Had a ban, yeah.
But they had Coutinho at that point.
Of that front three, they've really had it very consistent, sort of akin to Chelsea under Jose Mourinho, when there wasn't a lot of rotation in the side, especially in that front three. So I wonder if Jurgen will just dip into the market, maybe pick up a backup attacker this season, and definitely another midfielder.
Yeah, and would you still go big for a goalkeeper if you're Jurgen Klopp?
I don't know. I mean, goalkeeper recruitment is so difficult.
I would.
I probably would, because I think we've got a really good shot at winning the league. But I'd be much more inclined to put money towards, like you said, somebody like Jorginho to sit at the base of midfield and control the game. Liverpool at the moment are kind of set up to win cup competitions. They don't have a kind of controlling midfield. What they have is a midfield that's really good in the big games because they don't care about having the ball. They're really good at pressing and then breaking quickly. They're not as good at holding it in possession and seeing out matches that they're already winning. The thing that Pep Guardiola has done throughout his career is create teams that are dominant in the league. And I think that if he adds that central midfielder, adds another centre-back, I think they probably will still win the league, but there's no way it's going to be this easy because Chelsea won't be as bad as they've been. Liverpool will be better. Spurs, I don't really know how they get to the next level. I'm not sure what it would take for them to be better than they are right now. United, I really don't know about. United, I think, have been shocking this season. They're really lucky to be second. But the thing is, when you say I'm not sure if they could play at a higher level, I think they played at an actual higher level last season until they binned off the league. Their actual quality of play was far better.
What about if we sign Toby
points total
at the back? Do you think that shores us up a lot at the back?
Yeah,
to an extent.
I mean, for
The
sure.
midfield's still a problem.
And Bailly struggles with distribution, doesn't he?
Really bad.
Toby Alderweireld is a huge tick on that front. But my only worry about Liverpool is, if we're putting them forward as our sort of champions-elect, is that I'm not sure they could sustain those levels across the course of a season because Jurgen Klopp demands so much from his players. And their squad is a little stronger than it was, obviously, this time last year. And he's getting more out of Oxlade-Chamberlain, for example, but they're losing Emre Can. Is Wijnaldum necessarily good enough to plug that gap? Not sure. So yeah, I think it's maybe well poised for next season
gonna be a big
in terms
summer.
of who they buy, who the top teams.
Yeah,
Because I don't think the recruitment's going to be as voluminous, but I think it might be like.
I think Chelsea are going to have to recruit really well in the
Might be some
summer.
tussles
I think
over
Chelsea
big names,
are in real danger of falling off significantly, especially if they
padded
lose.
the team out with shit.
But I think they've got a real issue this summer of losing superstars to teams in the Champions League. If they finish 5th or 6th, I think they're going to have real problems keeping hold of Thibaut Courtois and Hazard.
They could just say no.
They can.
They do have
but-
enough money to say no.
Yeah, they do.
The
You're
question
right.
whether they have enough money to rebuild. That's my
I
issue.
think that Courtois and Hazard can push hard enough to get a move this summer. If
And
they
I
don't
feel-
finish in the Champions
I
League,
feel
I
like there's-
struggle to see them keeping hold of that pair.
There's a bit more, not apathy from Abramovich, but as in he's a little bit fed up of kind of being held to ransom by players. So maybe if he did get a £150 million bid from Real Madrid for Eden Hazard, we've discussed this numerous times, haven't we, because it's one of the most interesting moves that feasibly could happen, but that he might go. And he is 27, Hazard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's time.
Would you, if you're Hazard, miss out on another year in the Champions League?
What about Tottenham though? We have not discussed them at all.
Well, this because with Tottenham, like, it's very hard to see who at Tottenham is not playing at the absolute top of their ability. Like, who is there at Tottenham who is not currently, like, absolutely incredible?
Hugo Lloris.
Like, okay, well, sure, but I don't think that Lloris has really cost them
No, you're probably
matches
right.
this season. They've still got an
I
incredible
don't know.
defence.
He's had a few really high-profile errors. I think Hugo Lloris this season.
mainly
I specifically remember Chelsea at Wembley.
Mainly this
They're a massive
season.
issue.
Well, I think the only keepers who have made more errors than him are Begovic and Stoke's goalkeeper, Butland.
Yeah, I think they're also going to need to replace Toby. Do you think they're going to hold on? I don't think they'll hold on to Alderweireld this summer. I think either he's going to go to one of the Manchester clubs, a PSG or a Barcelona.
The narrative around Alderweireld is very similar to the narrative around Kyle Walker before he left, right? So it was just like, Pochettino's had enough, he wants to leave, he wants more money, like, fuck it, they'll let him go. But then, whilst I really like Davinson Sanchez, Vertonghen isn't getting any younger, and they will need to find another, not just a centre-half, but another top-class centre-half.
Because they tried it with Wimmer and he was a disaster.
I just don't see how Kane does more. I mean, Ali, I still think has been really good this season. But this is the thing with City, right? You look at City, and as a general rule, attackers tend to make a leap around the age of 23, 24. That's when they start to hit their peak. Raheem Sterling is 23. I think is Sané 22?
20, yeah.
Or it might be 21.
Might be 21.
Yeah,
I think.
might be
Jesus, I
21.
think, is 21. So these guys have got a couple of years before they're even, hitting the level we'd expect them to maintain during their peak years. That's really scary for the rest of the league, I
I think
think.
that's a very good point you raised about Tottenham. So their signings in recent history have overperformed in terms of the level they've reached
Maximum.
as a player.
Maximum.
Toby Alderweireld, Jan Vertonghen, Hugo Lloris. These sort of players
Christian Eriksen.
now.
Even
Christian,
Davis,
Christian
people like
Eriksen
that.
for 11 million. Yeah, even Davidson Sanchez is starting to look like a bargain out at £30 million.
Yeah.
So these players now would cost them 40 to 50 million pounds from the off,
Flat
wouldn't they?
rate.
And
Plus twice what they're paying in wages at the moment.
exactly. So are they well placed to sort of make that step up from a financial point of view, given their Levy's current model of the club? It's annoying, and but I could see Pochettino's Spurs career kind of not dwindling but plateauing.
Yeah,
from
to
here.
the point he
Well,
leaves.
the interesting
Yeah.
thing about that is that we might well have a situation this summer where Bayern Munich and Real Madrid could be looking for a new coach.
Poch at Bayern
And if I were either of those teams, the first guy I'd go to is Pochettino.
or Allegri.
Oof.
I think we said it before when you were actually away, Pato, so you've probably not watched it. In fact, you've definitely not watched it.
Definitely not.
But
On safari
I
with
actually think that Bayern will go for Diego Simeone.
That'd be interesting.
I mean, I disagree.
He disagreed, yeah.
But
Be interesting, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't really feel very Bayern. I mean, Pochettino seems much more sensible to me because he'll play a
It'd
kind
be a
of
great move for him when it Bayern Munich.
the squad is so well set up for a Pochettino.
Go and win 5 trophies on the bounce to spell those rumours that you can't win a title.
He's the best coach
Yeah.
you could probably get. And if Real Madrid don't win the Champions League, I think they may well be shopping for a new coach. And then who knows? Who knows what will happen to Spurs? Because I don't know who they'd get.
what do you think about the whole Thomas Tuchel thing? Because that sort of materialised while you were
Yeah,
away.
you were
so
away.
it looks like he's a shoo-in now for PSG. And there's a lot of people who are sort of like rejoice in this. And yes, he's a promising young coach, but I don't think he guarantees any more European silverware than Unai Emery. I don't think he's even on Poch's level, arguably at the moment, Thomas Tuchel. But do you think that's a good move?
Because you love him, innit?
I'd put him just below Poch's level. Like I don't think I agree that nobody guarantees like European silverware.
Is it a step sideways to then take a step forward, or just a step?
I think it's a
step
good
sideways?
I think it's a good appointment, but probably the guy I'd have gone for if I were them is Conte, because I think he is a really good kind of like one-on-one tactician. Tuchel, my worry about Tuchel is Tuchel has a really high-pressing, demanding system, right? And I worry when you have a squad full of superstars like PSG have about whether those guys are going to buy in. I worry about whether Neymar is going to do what Thomas Tuchel tells him.
Sort of
to
like
do.
a Real Madrid
Completely agree.
complex.
I completely
Yeah.
agree. There's
Freeze
so
it
many
down.
superstars that I think he's actually going to struggle. I think I don't want to say Tuchel's rushed it, but I think Tuchel would have been a great fit for Bayern.
Me too.
And I'm actually shocked that Bayern haven't like gone after him and pressurised him and spoken to him in the off-season in a similar way they did with Pep Guardiola. I mean, they might well have done, but clearly it's not worked because I think they could have got him over PSG, for goodness sake.
If Heinkes wins another treble,
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
don't we just give him another year?
I think he's already said he's stepping down at the end of the season.
Yeah, well,
The last
he's retired about 4 times.
The last team to win the Champions League that wasn't Real Madrid or Barcelona was Heinkes Bayern, and it might happen again this season. It could be absolutely amazing. But I mean,
Go on.
I don't know. I think I don't know the Tuchel thing. A load of Arsenal fans were saying last summer when there was a possibility that we were going to go for him, they were like, he's not good enough, he's not Arsenal standards, right? I guarantee that in a couple of years, our fans will be
Should
saying, why didn't Arsenal go for Thomas Tuchel a couple of years ago? I think he's a very good coach, but yeah, my worry is about people like Neymar committing to defend, which I'm not really certain.
Yeah, and all these sort of exercises in training, we know, like from reading articles and stuff, that he works players extremely hard in training. I think from the kind of feedback you've heard from the PSG camp this season is that Neymar and Cavani, etc., don't train.
I mean, he's a bit more innovative, isn't he? Whereas Unai Emery is a bit more pragmatic, a bit more of a traditionalist.
Yeah.
But just to tie it back to the question, are we saying that Liverpool are going to be City's biggest challenges next season?
I think unless Man United go out and spend serious money.
Yeah, or Chelsea.
Yeah. If Man United grab Griezmann and someone else, then who knows?
I think United will go after all the targets that City are going after. So anyone Pep Guardiola is linked with, Mourinho will jump on the back of. But anyway, who do you guys at home think is Manchester City's biggest challenges next year? Let us know in the comments below and vote in the poll up there. 2 for 1. Buy one, get one free.
Right now, before our next question, we have a very special treat for you. It's a small segment of our latest Goa vlog. We're very proud of it. If you want to go and watch it after Sunday Vibes, click the I button and mosey on over.
Sometimes you gotta leave that city to love that city and start all over again. But it doesn't look so pretty to get your hands dirty and start all over again. You gotta leave that city to love that city, or else you might get trapped. Oh, you might get trapped. Just like all of my
Welcome back to Football Daily on the road, guys. This time we've come to football's final frontier. It's India. The beautiful game is experiencing a renaissance out here thanks to the ISL and FC Goa have invited us behind the scenes and you to witness it for ourselves firsthand.
But it's not all about the football. We're also here to try the food, soak up some of the culture, and even do a bit of surfing.
Let's go.
The next question then was sent in by Hazem Mohammed. If you want to get your question answered next week, leave it in the comments below with the hashtag Sunday Vibes or tweet us on the below handles. Anyway, Hazem says, who do you think will be the breakout star of the World Cup 2018. Ooh. Now, most players I think are pretty established. I think it's a hard question to answer.
Yeah, you were saying this off camera, weren't you? That such is the how information is so widespread now.
Yeah, everybody
it's hard
knows.
for anyone to take us by surprise.
Like
so
Timo
are we gonna rejig this slightly?
Well, we've spoken plenty in the past, haven't we, about like Timo Werner, players like that. They're established. You know what I mean, they've played 150 times. Everybody knows who he is. He's not a breakout star anymore. So let's maybe rejig it to who's going to force themselves into the superstar spotlight. Who's going to become the next James Rodriguez, effectively?
So who's going to really take that? Whose stock is going to dramatically rise?
Bang!
Not
up
necessarily
60
to
million.
superstar status.
Up 60 million, basically.
Who's going to force a move? Okay, that's a more interesting question. I can work with that. I'm just trying to lead the charge.
Well, there are a few people, I think. I think that Philipp Max, the left back, might go with Germany. They've been dying for a left back for a while because Löw has always hated Schmelzer. And he's having an amazing season in the Bundesliga. I think he's the assist leader still, is my understanding. But
does he play for Leverkusen?
Augsburg, isn't it?
Augsburg, yeah.
Jesus.
I don't know. I think a player like Iheanacho could have a really good time. I really love the Nigeria squad actually. They've got a really good spine, you know, with Ndidi and Iwobi and Iheanacho, and they're just completely fearless. I mean, they smashed Argentina last year, and I don't know. Iheanacho hasn't played that much this season, but when he has played, he's been good.
Does he
always
start
scores
for Nigeria?
Yes, he starts for Nigeria, and I don't know, he's such an intelligent player. He can play so many positions. He's so technically sound. The other guy is Andrija Zivkovic, who's a young Serbian winger who's at Benfica right now. He's been highly rated for a long time. He's 20, I think, and his attacking numbers are out of this world. He's creating like nearly 3 chances a game. He's an amazing dribbler as well, but he defends a lot too. And I think that Serbia need these next level talents. You know, Serbia have always been a pretty solid side, difficult to beat, but what they need now are people like Milinkovic, Savic and Zivkovic to turn into superstars. And they've got Mitrovic as well. Mitrovic, who's having an absolutely sensational campaign in the championship. So I don't know, I'd be quite intrigued to see what happens with them because their group is Brazil, Costa Rica and Switzerland. That looks like a group they could get out of, I think.
Hamster, what do you think?
Similar to Pau, I'm not sure if there's anyone I can bring to the table you wouldn't have heard of, but there's a couple of people I'm certainly looking forward to watching, like Herving Lozano, the Mexico sort of winger come forward, is he now? Has scored 4 in 9 for El Tri during qualification. I think he's got 15 goals and 11 assists in the Eredivisie as well. Still the league's top goal scorer, which is odd because the Eredivisie top goal scorer tends to finish on about 40. So I like him. Chucky, I think there's more to come from him. I like Keita Balde Diao for Senegal. Obviously moved to Monaco for big money this summer, didn't he? He's not quite hit the same levels he was achieving at Lazio prior, but I think he could potentially have a very decent tournament. I'm not sure about Senegal's group. Do you boys know who they're with? Yeah, I can't really remember it off the top of my head. And like you said, Wilfred Ndidi, averaging 4.5 tackles and interceptions at the moment, 4 less from the Premier League. I think that's 0.2 off N'Golo Kante.
Somebody's going to buy him this summer,
it's
surely.
not just a lazy comparison. Like, he is not as well-rounded, not as polished. Kante has definitely improved his passing and dribbling since going to Chelsea, but Ndidi's anticipation, his athleticism, his sort of reading of the game is getting to the point now, yes, where I think a big money move to a top 6 side would arguably be justified. I mean, Everton have a Joshua Gay, don't they? So they're not going to buy him. Yeah, I mean, and he wouldn't be the worst purchase for you by any means.
No. Somebody who could defend would be a nice novelty.
Definitely an improvement on El Neni, for sure. Yeah, it might bring the best out of Xhaka. Joseph, can you think of any while I maybe have a little?
We mentioned him slightly off camera. Yuri Tielemans. I think if Yuri gets a start, which I actually don't.
All about Yuri
I actually don't think Yuri Tielemans will start for Belgium at the World Cup. Sadly, I think it's more likely to be Witsel or Fellaini in there, but he's an incredibly talented player. I'm really excited to see him if he does. I think Gonzalo Guedes is a decent shout. Obviously had a fantastic standout campaign for Valencia. I don't actually think he featured a single time in qualifying for Portugal. But
his stock wasn't as high.
No, exactly. It
then.
wasn't
It
as high.
skyrocketed
He's starting to get a bit more game time now. I think he's got, 10 assists, 4 goals, something like that. So pretty impressive for a Valencia side. But yeah, the question's hard because most players now, it's not like the 90s where a player would just explode onto the scene. Do you know what I mean? And you'd be like, who the f is this guy? And he's just rattled in 6 goals at the World Cup. Everybody knows everybody now because of social media.
Yeah, even James Rodriguez, like at the last World Cup, like everyone said he exploded, but he just moved for a huge amount of money to Monaco. So I mean, the depth of knowledge now among football fans is so deep.
It's absolutely incredible.
It's like 18-year-olds.
So I don't know whether you guys at home have any other suggestions that we've missed out. Maybe somebody from a more varied country, although we've mentioned some pretty varied ones here. But let us know in the comments below if you do know of anyone, because we're pretty much out of ideas here.
Paulo Guerrero, if he's off the roids.
So now it's time for another VT. This week, George Wright is taking on your hot take. So prepare to be insulted a lot.
Right, for some reason I'm on hot takes this week. Don't really know why, don't really want to be here. And I'm sorry if like my appearance has like cracked your laptop or broke a mirror in your room. If you email Krista, he'll personally come round and give you an envelope full of money to fix it all. Because, you know, that's what he sold, like laptops or some shit back in the day out of his van. So he'll be dealing with that one. But here's some spicy takes. First one comes from N Cannon D. Mesut Ozil has been the greatest number 10 in the world since Zizou retired. I mean, just there's a grace period between Zizou and Ozil between 2006 and 2010. So in that time you had Cesc Fabregas, who was like the love of my life for about 3 years before he fucked off. Kaká, Riquelme was coming to the end of his career. Iniesta and Schneider put in one of the best performances from attacking midfielder in that 2010 season. He arguably could have won a Ballon d'Or. But I don't know, Ozil has been listing like top lists of every assist record since he arrived on the scene, which you'd argue was the 2010 World Cup, where he absolutely fucking destroyed England. But to say he's the best, he's been the greatest, I don't know, it might be a bit premature really, especially when you've got Kevin De Bruyne on the scene now as well. I don't think he's as naturally gifted as Ozil, but his all-round game suits Premier League far more. I'm not too sure about that one. Right, so next one comes from _Dakash, and he says, Guti is one of the most underrated players ever, and I could not agree more. I f***ing loved Guti. He was outrageous. He was a maverick. Did back heels inside the box so Benzema could score tap-ins. But in all seriousness, he was f***ing underrated. Got 13 appearances for Spain in one of their worst eras ever, between 95 and about 2005. Well, he did absolutely cool. He played up front for him in a period of time in the 2000-2001 season, and he got 14 league goals. He's a centre mid. And then when he got older, once Zidane left, he was just a f***ing baller, mate. Just did whatever he wanted with his long hair and hairband. He just f***ing spraying balls over the place. He was sick. Loved him. So next one comes from Sonny Snelling, and he says, Hazard is the most overrated player in the Prem. Don't really understand what he's trying to say in the next bit, but then he says he has second season syndrome after every title win. And I feel that one, for me, is definitely not overrated. I think he's a fabulous footballer. I think if he went to a bigger club or one who certainly plays more of his style of play, he would be absolutely outrageous. And the second season syndrome, that's just not his problem alone. Every Chelsea player has gone through this after a title win, and I think that stems down from the manager being quite demotivated after every title win. The board, Abramovich and the board, doesn't seem to really get any of the manager's targets that they want. And I feel like it really puts a dampener on the manager, and as a result, lacks motivation to really do anything. As you've seen with Conte season, they've been absolutely dreadful. I think they've won 3 times in 2018, and they're even having a worse season than Arsenal, which is saying something, let me tell you that. This one by Dipto Beat. Marcelo is the greatest left back of all time. He's outrageous. He's silk central. He's such a baller, and defensively, he's actually really good as well. But there's only one man really who's better than him, and that's a certain Nelson Vivas. I'd recommend you to YouTube him, not only for his exquisite play at left back, but also when he decided to go up and try to batter his own fans, which I thought. And finally, this one's from, I'm not going to say the username because I can't be asked, it's but Negster. And he said FFO is FD's best show. I mean, I don't know where you got this from. This is the worst opinion out of all of them that I've ever seen on Hot Takes. FFO was the worst show we've ever made. It took about 10 minutes to script. It took about 2 hours to edit. It was proper shit. And if we ever posted it, it meant that we had literally no ideas for the week. That's the only reason it ever come back. You'll probably see it at Christmas, when no one's here, FFO will come up because it's shit.
The final question of the day was sent in by someone called Pranav Lange, something like that, and he says, who among FD can be a great manager? Not just a good one, not just a Sunday League manager, a great manager. Hashtag Sunday Vibes. Let's keep this one fairly brief because it's an absolute madness question.
Have any of you guys got any experience? Like, have you managed your kids' team?
100% win
Sunday
record,
League team?
mate.
What do you mean you got 100% win
Against you,
record?
you clown.
Oh, 100%, yeah, I
Mate,
suppose so.
you're currently worse than Pards at West Brom.
I know, I've actually got a worse
You're
win
sitting
rate.
on a big fat 0.
I actually got a worse win rate than Pards. God almighty help me.
It was a situation where I shouldn't have been there.
Maybe a more interesting question is... maybe bleep that out.
Bleep that one.
The question is, like, if you had to take people from FD as your backroom staff,
Jesus.
what position would you put them in and why?
That's a great question.
Starting with you then.
I'd have George on diet and health. No, I absolutely wouldn't have George on diet and health because all he consumes is sugar. He hasn't had a vegetable in 6 years.
He's 98% glucose.
Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Here comes the, here comes the, here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that.
Who else would you have in there?
Kieran's a very clean guy, so he'd be a good kit man.
Kieran on kit.
Serge,
I like that.
Serge is a dancer. He's quite athletic, so he might be a good physio.
Yeah.
You know, can you imagine giving you a sensuous massage?
Milad is one of my scouts because he's just busy, isn't
So you
he?
could just send
Yeah,
him
he would,
somewhere
yeah.
else.
Stick him in Iran, chill him and find some Middle Eastern
Clear
town.
off. What about Jackson? Jackson would probably be a good assistant manager.
Yeah, where he just stands behind you. There's
Yeah.
like, you don't score until you score.
Jackson's got the whole arm around the shoulder thing sort of pretty much nailed down.
yeah.
So that's
He
that's
follows
his
someone. He's the
style
guy
of-
who goes up afterwards
Yeah.
and he's like, he believes in you, and that's why he's me.
That's his style of management.
Yeah.
I think I need a good cop to my bad cop.
Thank you for having me, man.
You're welcome.
The beginning of a bromance.
Yeah, probably. I think I'd actually have Dougie Critchley as my head of analysis.
There he is.
Yeah, that
Up
makes
to
sense.
On the
dig.
camera. I think I'd have him like as that sort of, you know, watches all the playback tapes. He goes, oh, you see that's an inch out, 2 foot out. If he'd been 2 foot position to the right, I think Dougie's is that.
Dougie's focused
analytical
as well.
brain.
Gets the job done.
Yeah.
I'd have Zach selling hot dogs outside.
Club shop.
Absolute town crier, just going around the bell like, hot
No,
dogs,
Zach would be
hot
perfect. Stick him
dogs.
in the mascot costume. He's
Right.
the perfect mascot.
Who are we missing?
I'd
McCubbin and Wayno.
I'd have Olivia as like my chief executive.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone would think she'd be a pushover, but she's secretly quite tough.
Sassy.
I think.
I'd
Yeah.
have James
sassy.
Wayne and McCubbin as my head of PR. It'd just be an absolute
They'd
disaster.
be your first team coaches. Imagine those two running a training session.
No, I'd let them put out the cones and then they'd fight. It was ridiculous.
Just in the bike sheds, just like.
Yeah, no, I don't know what I'd have them doing. Who else are we
on
missing?
the medical stuff.
Who
let's
else
be
is on
honest.
that
I think that's
in
our
charge
team
of
pretty
in
much.
charge of the pharmacy.
Adam Templeman.
Let's leave a dream.
What would you have him? I certainly wouldn't have him head of social because if you do goal, we wouldn't be putting a poll in, would it? That's for
Just
sure.
taking throw-ins all day, every day. Roll that again. Any excuse to bring out that clip.
Nah, Adam Templeman, like maybe, I don't know. I think I actually wouldn't have Temps on my backroom staff.
Damning.
Damning indictment. Peter Dorman, would you have him anywhere either?
Yeah, Dorman's a smart guy. Like Dorman would be quite
Would
useful.
you have Dorman?
I don't know, like Irish outreach. Like I don't know I don't know what job he could do really.
Just going around the gypsy
I'd have him as a, you know when they have like your own in-house commentator. I'd have him do that and no one
Yeah,
would
that's
know what
not
the
bad
fuck
shout.
he was
I'd
talking
make him
about.
grow that handlebar tash again and just have him running like community-based projects.
That's a great
That could be
shout.
like a little mini-series.
That's fantastic.
That's
yeah.
about it. I actually, these guys probably don't know who half these people are. Go over and check out FTFC if you don't. If you're not subscribed, because only 12k of you are, then why not? All right?
So that's the end of Sunday Vibes for this week, but there's loads of other good stuff happening on Football Daily Hamster. What else is happening?
Oh, so what day is it today? Sunday. Like we said, go and check out the Go vlog if you haven't. Tuesday's XI, which was swapped out for the vlog, went live yesterday instead, thus becoming Saturday's XI. Go and check that out. Pato, you've been away for a while. Might be putting you on the spot here. Just say Football Mundial. What's happening on EFD?
Football Mundial. And of course, That Was the Champions is happening right now. Like our flagship show, in my opinion.
I'm already out of.
You're already out of it. Who did you lose to?
Pathetic. Lost to Don Strapsy first round.
Oh, you're not here? He's already out. Yeah, that episode's gone live, so that's fine. But we still haven't found our opponents yet. So.
Oh, if you want to be their opponent, let us know in the comments below, and we cannot make it happen because you're not coming on this channel.
There we go.
Man of the people.
Top goal scorer.
Oh my God, that scared the shit out of me, Van Straten.
Dead.
Fucking hell, man.
Sorry, that was really annoying me.
Right. Well, I've shit myself.